that's great.
It's great when you're telling the truth.
Okay, yeah, exactly.
Like, who had the violin out? I'm like, it's the truth.
Yeah.
Buying a house is a stressful process anyway, and I didn't have a hard time finding the house. I think it was actually like number 6 or 7 that I looked at. So I actually scored pretty quickly. I expected the process for closing to be smooth, and it seemed like it was going to start that way. It didn't end up that way. Communication was very fragmented. There were times where I constantly had to check in to do status updates. I felt like there were things that were slipping through the cracks with my loan officer, things that I was finding that I'd have to call and say, hey, well, what about this? Should we be checking this? And hours were a little bit weird. I was dealing with, I'm a midnight owl, so by the time I get back to this, it's the next day. I was up till 6 a.m. working on your file, and it's like, oh, really? So, at one point, and I remember this was coming up on Thanksgiving, I'd signed a purchase agreement end of September for this house. We had done an extension or two. Thankfully, the seller was extremely patient with me, which was a plus. But I almost lost this deal because of the previous lender that I was working with. But we're coming up on the holiday. I had 6 final conditions that needed to clear. I was assuming everything had been submitted for 5 of them. We were waiting for a confirmation letter from the IRS. We know Uncle Sam is slow, so we knew it was coming, and we knew it was coming snail mail. So in my mind, I'm like, okay, let's clear out all the old stuff, and we'll be ready when this letter comes. She submitted nothing, absolutely nothing. So I'm literally biting my nails like, so then what's gonna happen now? So she finally works to start clearing conditions, and of course all these other follow-up questions come, which it's a natural thing when you're going through the process. And so we're up against, literally, back is against the wall. We didn't have another extension signed. The seller's agent is like, well, you know what, we'll stick with you if maybe we should look at another lender. And so I got Success Group's information from an attorney friend of mine who spoke very highly of the group and said, hey, try these guys. I know they're great. I know folks that have had to switch to them in the 19th hour when they've been, sort of yo-yoed around by other lenders. And within 2 hours of my initial conversation, my loan had been shopped. There had been a lender identified. I had an application to start filling out later that day. And we're talking about holiday season. We're in the midst of Christmas now. I was supposed to close the week of Christmas. That fell through the cracks. One of the managers over at the previous lender literally left the office and went on vacation till like January 4th and didn't say anything to anyone. So we're literally scrambling, and Success Group comes in and literally saves the day. It was almost unreal how quick the process was. So got the application, they pulled my credit, they said, okay, here's what we think that you'll need to go ahead and start sending this stuff over. Most of it you already have. And then after that, there were a few follow-ups, but I'm pretty sure I was cleared to close in like 12 days. It actually, and it might have been less than that, but I'd literally had to put the brakes on, like, so I got to take time off and I have to actually show up and close. I didn't think this was going to happen this quickly, but it was smooth sailing, and it was an amazing process and so refreshing after the stressful situation I had been in with the terrible communication with the previous lender that I was stuck with. If you're on the fence about reaching out to Success Group, it's time for you to get off. I mean, everything from the little tiny videos that you get when your application is going through, you get status checks when you're going through underwriting. You get a status check after underwriting. You get a video that explains to you the process, which is good if you have no experience or if you had a lot of experience, but it's been a while and you're not really familiar with the lending process. They make it easy. They communicate with you. They literally hold your hand every step of the way through one of the most stressful processes you can go through. So I highly recommend Success Group. Please call them today.